In 1996, Bafana Bafana lived their most glorious moment, winning the Africa Cup of Nations on home soil. And it's not 30 years later. Bafana, of course, have not managed to add to that solitary AFCON title, but it is therefore important for the country to relive, to reflect, and look back at that moment, particularly as the class of 2026 prepares for the FIFA World Cup that's also happening in the Americas come June. So today, the SABC channel, as you saw, we're focusing on 30 years since Bafana Bafana's victory in 1996, and more in-depth analysis and understanding of what this moment really means. We are joined in studio by SABC specialist correspondent Sophie Mokoena. Of course, also covered this tournament on behalf of Lesedi FM for current affairs as a journalist, and also virtually we're joined by former Bafana Bafana goalkeeper Roger Desar. Good morning to the both of you, and thank you for taking us down memory lane. Sophie, you're in studio, so I'm going to start with you. Such a nostalgic moment. It's the day Bafana Bafana won the hearts of our entire country and continent on home soil. Tell us what the mood was like as you were building up to that, what it then represented for the nation at large.
Well, I was an anchor or a presenter for current affairs show at Lesedi FM, starting at 5 to 7. So I proposed to the EP then, Ramatsuso Mukebe, that this is a historic moment. I would love to see a situation immediately after my show in the morning. I go to Max Park, where they were training daily, Bafana Bafana, to, compile packages for every day in the morning. We start with that as part of our contribution as a public broadcaster to join in support and what the country was doing and was about. And I would do that every morning after Makumana Monalmani. I'll go to Max Park and Maserukwawo doing TV. And then I will speak to players, I will speak to the coach. You know, the good thing about that team and the entire technical team, it wasn't normal or it was rare for women to cover sports. Absolutely. But also women in general in terms of news, because it was just after 1994. So going to the Max Park training grounds, they were always accessible, all of them, irrespective of how powerful or how you were a star, they were always accessible. Whether you talk about Doctor at that time, who was the most famous player, he was always accessible. Clive Barker, you talk about the captain Neil Tovey, Herman Mkelele, all of them, including those who were not in the country when they came, they joined, they would always be available. But the cherry on top was Nelson Mandela. On the eve of the game, he went to the Sunnyside Park Hotel here at Braamfontein, where the squad had been accommodated during their togetherness ahead of the most important competition. On that day, I remember Madiba and then the then late FIFA president, Joe Haviland, arrived, including the late Stix Morewa, who was the president of SAFA, Issa Hayato, the late Issa Hayato, the president of CAF, and many others, and they had a press conference. For me, I will never forget that press conference. They spoke about South Africa's time having arrived, joining international community, but about the unity of the nation. Yeah. And then Madiba came, speaking to the team, giving motivation. He emphasized that it's a crucial moment because here we are saying as a country, we are united, and assured the team that the entire nation, all South Africans are behind the team. Yeah. And the next day I was at FNB, I witnessed it all. And de Klerk being there, the late King Zwelithini being there, again Madiba emphasizing the unity that the country needed. Yeah. 2 years after elections, when things were still very, difficult behind the scenes as it relates to reconciliation.
Sophie, I can see you literally reliving that moment as you tell that story. And to your point, leadership played such a pivotal role. And so, Roger, I actually want to bring you to the conversation now, because Sophie was painting the picture about the mood leading up to this pivotal moment. And when that final whistle went off and we obviously took the cup, what was going through your mind? Also, as you reflect back on the importance of leadership as well.
Hi, firstly, good morning to everybody. Nice to hear those memories from Sophie. Thank you very much. That brought back some fantastic memories. Look, to us as players, we went into camp on the 2nd of January, into the Sunnyside Hotel. We followed the footsteps of the rugby team. They also used the same hotel when they won in '95, the World Cup. And we were a little bit of an unknown package, really, because we had been hammered by so many different countries prior to that, trying to find our feet. And yeah, we were sort of assembling a group of guys, and I mean, a lot of credit to Clive. I think Clive, I think he was our second or third national team coach by now. And he just assembled a fantastic group of guys that were willing to work hard and put everything into it, and it paid off. It was a long camp, I remember that. I remember packing my bags, early morning on the 2nd of January. Everybody was still hangover from all the parties of the New Year and Christmas celebrations, and arriving in a hotel and starting to knuckle down the next day and saying, let's have a go. And it was a fantastic time. Look, for us as players, we didn't really know too much about what was going on outside, to be honest. We were sort of in a bit of a cocoon. We were just attending training every day and working hard. And as the tournament progressed, we started noticing bigger numbers on the street as we were headed to the stadiums, and sort of the importance of it started to become a reality leading up to the final. But up until then, to be honest with you, we were just, a couple of young kids trying to play football and doing the best we can.
Sure. I mean, Roger Mandela literally brought out the Madiba magic as well. That also became one of the pivotal moments. But we're looking at the caliber of leadership and, what he would have also imparted to you guys as a team to motivate you as well. Can you rehash some of the words that had been echoed on that front from him?
Absolutely. I think one of the things that goes down in history and will never be repeated, obviously, is the Madiba magic. Every game we played, he arrived before the game, yes. Be it the night before or the morning of the match. We made a point of him arriving, and the only game he missed was the one we lost. And we said to him, look, you got to come to us every time we play. And he agreed to that, and his schedule must have been unbelievable, and he always made time for us. Could have been 1 minute, could have been half an hour to an hour. But we knew, sitting in a hotel, and all of a sudden we'd see the dogs around sniffing and a lot of, police, detectives, whatever you want to call them. And we kind of had the feeling, oh, okay, he's here, so we'll be okay. He's going to come see us. And he would rock up and it was just a couple of words. He didn't have to say too much. As you all know, the special thing about him was his humane side. And he was so human to all of us. He just kept it sort of simple and plain and very human, and he was one of us. And I think that was the important message we got from him all the time.
Yeah, Sophie, you're nodding. I'm also listening to Roger, because we know Madiba was about using sport as a means of reconciliation as well. And to Roger's point, they didn't know what was happening outside, right? As people were obviously on the streets or watching the wooden TV box sets. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that moment also meant to unify the continent as well and the nation at large?
You saw the visuals while
Yes.
Roger was talking, the leaders of the southern region.
Yes.
Among them, a lady in front who was the president of Malawi, Joyce Banda. So when I talk about uniting South Africans, the continent and the world, that's exactly what I meant, because there was also invitation extended to neighboring countries, including heads of state and government of countries that participated during the Africa Cup of Nations. So it has always been about the country, the continent, and the world, including his success at Thabo Mbeki, because when you look at the bid, and I have a bid book here, when you look at the bid book, it was signed by all who went to Zurich. There was a working together of government, different departments, and the sitting head of state supporting the sports code. That is why they were able to continue. There was synergy from Mandela to Mbeki, continuing with the dream. That's why we got the World Cup. Because during the campaign to bring the World Cup to South Africa, Madiba as a retired leader,
Yes.
was charged with responsibility to support the bid committee that was led by Dr. Ivan Khoza, traveling all over the world, supported by the SAFA president, Molefi Oliphant at that time. And, you know, and as the president, and then you had Denny Jordan there in the team, but there was always synergy because the government understood that through sport, you can position the country globally, continentally, but you can also unite South Africans and Africa and the world at large. So when you look at this bid book, you will see all of them delivering, including the Rainbow Nation, Desmond Tutu. You go to different, when they went to Zurich to present, de Klerk was there, and Tutu was there. Maggie traveled with them. Madiba went ahead with Tokyo Swale and them. There was always also using the different skills of different South Africans, those who have retired and those who were in government at that time. And by that time, we hosted the World Cup. When you look at the bid, you can see those stadiums, you know.
Yeah.
The book tells you Soccer City, what it was going to be like, Kings Park, Mbombela, all of these things. And that's what made the Geneva decision to be, Zurich's decision to be in favor of us. So Madiba was always there, even post-retirement, to support. As you can see, the 1996 team, even today, when they find time, they do support the teams that is playing at that moment. And therefore, that is why a person like Roger can even tell us more in terms of what was this thing, what was this made
You know, and Sophie, that's exactly where we want to go to because, you know, Roger, we're trying to understand what was that magic and how do we also then adapt that to what we currently have, especially as we edge closer to the FIFA World Cup in 2026 in June, where South Africa once again has qualified. I mean, we're backing our boys once again. But talk to us about those lessons learned and what we should really be driving home.
Wow, you know, it's one of those things. If I knew the real magic and what brought us such success, you know, I'll be a rich man. I could sell that. But it was just, I can just put it down to just simplicity. And I think it came down from the top down. I mean, even from Madiba down, you know, and obviously Clive was played a major part in our team, of course. But he was just a simple guy. You know, Clive was a very, very simple coach, manager, man leader, and he just allowed us to be who we were. And he just sort of put us all together into a group, and somehow we just had this sense of trust, belief, friendship, and we were a very tight group. You know, it didn't matter if you were playing or not playing, and we did our job every day. We respected each other immensely. You know, we spent a lot of time together. You know, and we always got on. Somehow we were so different, but yet so united. And I think pretty much like our country, really. And we managed to pull through. And we only realized the sort of the size of the magnitude of the win afterwards, really. You know, I think after the game, I think when things started sort of getting put together, like the ticker tape parade in a bus through Johannesburg and going to the Union buildings to meet the president again, and the dinners and everything else that came with it. I think that was the realization then. But leading up to it, I don't think we ever felt, you know, any great pressure, to be honest. You know, like I said earlier, we were a bunch of kids that were trying to play football the best we could. And that was really how it was. And I think, if I look back now, I think the latest Bafana setup is now sort of showing signs of that. I think having seen them in a previous African Cup of Nations and this one that's just gone by, even though we didn't, you know, achieve what everybody wanted our team to achieve, I think we showed good signs that we're getting it together and we're playing the best we can. And the guys are just simply respecting each other, and they're no superstars. And I think we were like that, even though we had some unbelievable players in our team. I mean, I can tell you that some of these guys, if they had been born 10 years later, they would have been unbelievable players. Shuz Mashu for one, Dr. Kumalo, and so many others were just unbelievable.
It's hard to condense 30 years into this few moments that we've had. Roger and Sophie, I just want to thank you all for joining us and for taking the nation back. It's such a pivotal time because to know where we are headed, we need to know where we come from. And I'm going to have to leave the conversation there. That's our special spotlight on 30 years of nostalgia. Of course, reflecting back on that AFCON win in 1996. Come the 3rd of February, we're joined by specialist correspondent for SABC and journalist at the time, Sophie Mokoena, covered the tournament on behalf of Lesedi FM for current affairs, and former Bafana Bafana goalkeeper Roger Dessa, helping us really just understand what that 1996 moment meant for the country at large. Again, a hearty thank you to them for joining us.